I'm Rinku, and today I would be talking about my journey from being a quality assurance engineer to a business analyst. So, let me give you a brief. I'm originally from India, and I have been working in Poland for quite some time now. To be honest, it's almost like 5 years now I'm working here in Poland. So going back in time, yeah, I completed my studies in India. I did my BTech, then I started my professional career in India and as a quality assurance engineer. So I started working with the telecom industry initially, but then today I have got like 10 years of experience and I have worked with a lot of industries. So yes, so as I was talking, so I have worked with telecom industry, gas industry, media, hoteliers, aviation, and I have gained a lot of experience, a lot of skills, met a lot of new people, learned their experiences. So it was an amazing journey for me till now, and I hope it will continue further on. So, but before going further on, I would like to thank Women Tech Conference and for you, everyone who joined in for the today's talk, for sharing, supporting, and everything. I mean, this conference is about connecting the worldwide women empowerment, and I can already see that you ladies have already connected from so many countries. So I'm really glad for your support, and I hope this session would be useful for everyone, and we will share our experiences and the knowledge. So, going to the agenda of this talk, I would be talking about being a quality assurance engineer, the skills of a QA, and then thinking beyond QA, transitioning from BA to QA, QA to BA, then the similarities between a quality assurance engineer and a business analyst, the birth of a business analyst, importance of business analysis, techniques, and then if you have any questions, we can move there. So let's talk about quality assurance engineer. So as I mentioned that when I started working, 2011, I started my professional career. So I started working as a quality assurance engineer, and I learned various skills and things while being a quality assurance engineer because I was involved in activities such as understanding the project and module vision, understanding the requirements of the project, the deliverables of a particular sprint, analyzing the test setup which will be required to complete the project, creating the test cycles and the test plan, finally performing the testing, and then maintaining by doing regression testing and sanity testing. So I was involved in like starting from scratch to the completion of the project. So in every phase, there was something to learn, something to achieve, something to convince to other people. So yes, I learned a lot of things here. And while I was learning and doing the things, I improved a lot of skills. So the skills which I improved was analytical skills, because when the requirements were coming, the main focus was to analyze those requirements. So I was analyzing the requirements and raising questions, clarifying my doubts. So I improved my analytical skills. Then skeptical skills. So this one is a bit funny, I would say, because sometimes it happened that developers used to give us the build, but and they used to say that, okay, this is completely fine, you will for sure not be able to find any bug, you can just go on production. But we used to test that build, and sometimes it happened that we were able to find the bugs. So I would say skeptical skills, that never trust the build given to you, especially by a developer. Then communication skills. So while I was creating the bugs and raising the bugs, sometimes it was the case that the bug is reproducible on my environment, but when it got to the developer or the person who was supposed to be fixing it, he or she said that no, it's not reproducible and it's not an issue. So it's really good to have the communication skills, convincing power, so that you can ensure that the person understand what you are trying to say, and he and she understand what you have raised and start working on it. So it's like improving the communication skills, that you have to convince other people, make them understand what you are talking about, and so on. Next, I would say negotiation skills. So while we were planning the releases, it was sometimes it happens that there were many features which were included in one current sprint or one current release. And from development perspective, it is okay. But being a QA, we need some time, and we have to think that what all needs to be tested. And it might be the case that fitting all those testing things within a given time is not possible. So we will have to negotiate with our teammates that no, testing is not possible in the given time frame. So yeah, I learned this skill while doing the quality assurance and the improvements which we suggested. Okay, so we were here talking about the skills, yes. So negotiation skills and then the observation skills. So being a quality assurance engineer or a tester, it's really important to observe the things really minutely so that we can find all the bugs, whether it's a minor bug or a major bug or a critical one. So hence the observation skills. Next would be prioritizing the things, because for example, in a particular release, there are 10 things which needs to be done, but the time given to us is really limited and we have to make the release. So it's really important to prioritize the things to make sure that whatever critical or which is being demanded by the customer is given first and is being tested thoroughly. And maybe the rest of the features, if we can just do a quick check and deliver the thing, it would be the best case. So it's really important to prioritize the things. Then think from the user perspective, because the end product which we are preparing is for our customer. So we have to think from the customer perspective or the user who is going to use it eventually. So we learn that how the customer is going to see it. And yes, customer satisfaction, of course, and manage risk. So these are the skills I learned. And while I was learning all this and getting to know about the skills, enhancing my skills, I started to become more curious. I started to think what next is about QA. So I started raising questions. I started thinking about the requirements, that where they are coming from, who are our stakeholders. I started getting active in requirement elicitation, planning, and refinement meetings. I was asking more and more questions to understand the things and getting to know the background. Till now, I was just reading the requirements and understanding those. But at this moment, I was curious to know that where they are coming from, how is it going to benefit the organization, who is giving it, and so on. So it was like a transitioning phase which has already been started with all these questions and the curiosity. So I was asking about the project and roadmap and the vision. I started taking lead of the deliverables of a release. Then I was trying to convince my team members that why a particular feature is really important for a release and vice versa. And eventually I realized that I'm kind of moving into the direction of business analyst. So then actually my transition phase started, because when I realized that being a business analyst is a good opportunity for me, so I actually started exploring and started working towards it. So I understood the basis and the basics of business analysis, why business analysis is very important, exploring the tools and techniques which are required for business analysis, getting involved into requirement elicitation, then getting trained and certified to become a business analyst. The best thing is to look for the opportunity within your organization if you want to have a transition from being a quality assurance engineer to a business analyst. So I started doing that. Then it's really important to get the experience of a business analyst. And then it was a constant learning and exploring, and it still is. So So I gained experience about a quality assurance engineer. I learned the skill. I did all my research about the business analysis. I gained the certification, and then I did a comparison that what are the similarities between a quality assurance engineer and a business analyst. So as I mentioned that being a quality assurance engineer, these are the skills I gained. And when I was doing the certification, I was doing the exploration of the business analyst, I realized that these are the skills which a business analyst should have. So let's have a look at this. Being a business analyst, the important skills are analytical skills, technical skills, communication skills, decision making skills, and problem solving skills. So, and if you see on the other side, the skills I learned being a quality assurance is almost the same. So at this point, I realized that yes, my decision is correct. And I did the correct thing while doing the certificate of a business analyst. So I felt confident and I started looking for the opportunities inside my organization. And luckily, I found the job, I mean, the role of the business analyst inside my organization, and I started working as a BA. So this was my journey about from being a quality assurance engineer to a business analyst. And now I'm still working as a business analyst in my current organization. I have already worked with like 3 projects which were related to hoteliers, aviation, and now there is another one which is related to the rooms and accommodation. So I have gained a bit of experience in that, and I'm also working as a product owner in my team. So it's like a transition. It's like learning, constant learning, and improving the things. So maybe now we can have a look at the importance of business analysis. So the first and main thing I would say importance of business analysis is the return of investment. Whenever a project is started, what is the main aim? It's like what we are going to achieve out of it, what profit is it going to give to the organization. So that is the return of investment, that if we are investing in something, what are the benefits we are going to gain out of it. So this analysis is very important. Next would be decrease cost. So business analysis is something which will help us to decrease the cost, whether it is in terms of strategies, understanding the requirement, and correctly designing the things. Because if these 3 steps are done correctly, we will be able to make a perfect product. And that perfect product will help us gain the success and the customer satisfaction. But if not, for example, just think of the scenario that sometimes the strategy has not been prepared so well, or the requirements has been understood incorrectly or in a different way actually. So we will prepare the product or the thing which customer asked, but in a different way. For example, he asked for a sofa, but we prepared a chair. So this is the lack of understanding of the requirement. So understanding the requirements is like very important for us. And then of course the designing product correctly. Next, I would say decision making. So for example, if you can see in the figure, we have communication, technology, and domain. So for being a good business analysis, it's really important to know the domain, have communication skills, and know a bit about the technology. So if you have combination of all these 3 things, it makes you a great business analyst. And of course, it helps in doing a good business analysis. And then focusing on the real value, that it's quite similar to the first one, return of investment, but yes, it's focusing on the real value, that what exactly we gained out of that investment or the thing which we put investments in. So let's talk a bit about the techniques we have for the business analysis. And today we would be talking about some of the techniques. So we will talk about SWOT, MOST, BPM, use case modeling, brainstorming, user stories. So let's start with the first one, SWOT. So SWOT is a business analysis technique which consists of 4 factors: strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So strength and weakness are the 2 internal factors which we already have, which we already know. And opportunities are and threats are the external factors. So strength, focusing on strength and weakness, it's like, for example, I have a team of 5 members and I know that what their expertise are, and also know that what domain or what knowledge they are missing. So I know my strength and weaknesses. This is internal. And if I look externally, it's like opportunities and threats. That what opportunities are there outside, what are the external threats, what are the business obstacles. So it's a very good way of analyzing the business model or doing business analysis. Then we have most. So most is mission, objective, strategies, and tactics. So it gives us an overall idea of the organization, that what is the mission of the organization, what is their purpose, then the objectives, what do we want to achieve out of those mission which we have, then how are we going to achieve those objectives, and then what are the strategies we will be preparing to achieve those objectives or the mission. So it's like a cycle: mission, objective, strategies, and tactics. And like each one is coming after another. If we know our mission, we can easily define our objective. If we know our objective, we can define the strategies. If we know the strategies, we can define the tactics. So it gives us an overall picture of the organization and helps us in determining that what exactly the organization want or is looking for. And next one is BPM, which is called as business process modeling. So here we have one model which is being prepared. We automate the model, monitor it, analyze it, improve it. So it's a continuous cycle of these steps which we continue to doing, and it gives us a kind of workflow of the organization. And we generally use data flow diagrams, workflows, and visual representation to make the things a bit clear. This diagrammatic representation can be done at a very high level or can be done at a very low level also, depending upon our needs and the requirements. So once we prepare the model, we think of the uh, strategy or the resources which would help us in automating that model. Then once automated, it has to be monitored continuously, because for example, if we are getting some feedback from the customer, we have to monitor it, that it is being working correctly as expected, then analyze it, and then if required, keep it improving. And this cycle goes on. Next we have is the use case modeling. So as I was talking about diagrammatical representation in BPM also. So this is one of the best representation we can do for a business process, business analysis. So this way we can just show our customer or our team who will be working on that, this is the thing we want to have or we want to achieve for a particular project. For example, we have a timesheet management system. So we can easily define or think of that what actors do we need, and then what use cases we should have, and how they should look like, which one should be connected to whom, and what are the main tasks we have to do. So we can visually represent it and it's like easy to understand. And for example, there is some misunderstanding between the requirements, our stakeholders or the team can help us clarify it very quickly. So this is like one of the very good method of doing it. Then next would be brainstorming. So brainstorming is like asking questions and getting to know the customer's need, that what exactly they want, asking the questions what you are looking for, why do you want it, how is it going to benefit it. And for going back to the question what you are looking for, decomposing this question into small questions and trying to understand as much details as possible. And then not just asking, it should be also the suggesting thing, that while you are asking the questions, you should also be able to suggest that yeah, we can do it this way or we can present it this way. So it's like communication and understanding and questioning to understand the things and making sure that we all are on same page. Then once we have the requirements understood, we start writing the user stories. So user stories make a clear picture of the acceptance criteria, that for this feature, these are the 3 or 4 points which needs to be achieved or which needs to be accepted before this feature is accepted. So this is a very good way of creating the user stories. So if any questions, let me know. And thank you for being such patient audience. And please start writing the question. I would be happy to answer any of those. I can see a lot of people joined. Hi Tanya. Hi Suchitra. Hi Irina. So nice to see you, ladies. It was great to talk to you. So I would definitely like to connect with you. Hi Virginia. If you have any questions, please write. So there is a question, which kind of tools are you using to analyze the data? So by data, I'm not sure what exactly do you mean, but like for the requirements, as I mentioned, that we are using some techniques which are BPM and use case modeling, I would say, plus brainstorming. So the initial step we use is the brainstorming with the stakeholder or with our customers to get to know what exactly they are looking for. And then we do the use case modeling just to understand and make sure that we understood it correctly. So we prepare a diagrammatic representation, give it to our customer, get their agreement done, and then we go to the further phases. I hope that answers your question. Next question is Suchitra. Did you have to deal with a lot of conflicts as a QA? How did you handle? Oh, yeah, of course. Yes, being a quality assurance engineer, there were a lot of situations where there were conflicts, especially I would say between developers and QAs, because developers set their environment in development mode or some other modes, which is not the production mode. And being a QA, we were kind of using the production environment. And on our environment, the bugs were reproducible. But on their environment, because of their own personal settings, it was a case that it's not reproducible. And they were quite, sometimes they were quite reluctant to fix the bug and try it 2 3 times more and try to understand that yes, it's a bug. So yes, we have to make sure that they understand. I was asking them to come to my desk, asking them to try on different devices, and making sure that they actually see the bug which is being reproduced. Apart from this, I had situations where there was a conflict between, I would say, manager or a scrum master and between QAs, because managers and scrum master, they just know about the delivery, that you have to deliver the things, but they don't know the insight of the thing, that how much time they are taking. Because testing might take a lot of time, as you think that it's just a small feature, but from testing perspective it can be a lot to do. So it has to be like convincing skills, I would say, which I mentioned in my presentation also, and kind of communication and negotiation skills. So combination of these skills makes a perfect team and makes you keep on going on the track. So these are the skills I learned over a period of time, and slowly with my colleagues, my seniors, my juniors, and we created a good team. Okay, there is a question from Anna. You mentioned the similarities between a QA and BA, but what would you say are the biggest differences? Anything you struggled with your transition? Yeah. So, being a quality assurance engineer, I was just reading the stories which were written. But being a BA, I actually had to create those stories. So, I would say that uh, as a quality assurance engineer, it was easy for me because the thing that needs to be tested is already written. I don't have to think about splitting a feature into sub features and then testing it. But being a BA, I am in a position that I have to think that I have to split a feature into sub features and then create the stories. So this thing about decomposing a feature into sub features can sometimes be a like lot of work to do and lot of thinking, because those has to be decomposed in a very good manner and which actually makes sense, because creating a lot of stories would also not benefit us. It will just increase the workload and the tracking thing and everything. So this thing, I would say about the user stories would be the major thing I think I struggled on into. I hope I answered your question, Anna. And Tanya, thanks for asking it. Suchitra, anything more? Oh, great. Thank you, Anna. Thank you so much. If you like, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I would be really glad. And if you still have any questions, please write it. And thank you for being an amazing audience. It was lovely talking to you today. Thank you. Thank you, Amina. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, all lovely ladies. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining it and have a nice day. Thank you.